Emergency broadcast log, station Kilo 77. Date, redacted time, 6 hours 47 minutes and 32 seconds hours. Operator, broadcast technician Rourke, D. Standard morning check, all systems nominal. Christ, why am I even writing this down? Protocol, I guess. 23 years doing this job, and I still log every damn thing like someone's actually reading these reports. Habit dies hard. 6 hours 48 minutes and 15 seconds. Primary relay Alpha 9 responding normal. Secondary relay Bravo 4. Hang on, getting some static. Probably weather front moving through Sector 7. Always happens this time of year. The mountains do things to the signal, bounce it around like a pinball. 6 hours 48 minutes and 47 seconds. There it is again. Not weather static. Different frequency signature. More metallic? That's not the right word. Sharper. Like aluminum foil in a microwave. Quick fuel check while I'm thinking about it. Backup generators sitting at full capacity. 48 hours of runtime if we lose main grid power. Should be routine, but the fuel gauge has been giving inconsistent readings since last month's inspection. Military keeps promising upgrades to the fuel management system. Always next quarter, next budget cycle, next administration. 6 hours 49 minutes and 33 seconds. Lost Bravo 4 completely. Just gone. Dead air where there should be carrier tone. Switching to Charlie 8 relay. 6 hours 50 minutes and 12 seconds. Charlie 8 not responding. That's unusual. 2 relays don't just drop simultaneously unless there's a coordinated equipment failure or, wait. Protocol says to check primary emergency frequencies when losing multiple relays. Standard procedure. Don't panic, just follow the book. 6 hours 50 minutes and 45 seconds. Emergency frequency 77 Alpha clear. Emergency frequency 99 Bravo, getting something. Automated loop, sounds like. Can't make out the words. Signal strength too weak. 6 hours 51 minutes and 23 seconds. Trying to boost the receiver gain. Equipment's old but reliable. Installed in '89, same year I started this job fresh out of technical college. Back then, everything was analog. Simple. You could trace a problem with your hands, feel where the signal was breaking down. These new digital systems, when they fail clean. Just silence. The radiation detector in the corner is making that soft clicking noise it always makes. Geiger counter, model RAD-47, installed during the facility upgrade in '93. Background count, nothing to worry about. We're buried deep enough that we'd need a direct hit to register anything significant. That's what they told us during the annual safety briefing, anyway. Gentlemen, you're in the safest place in 3 states. Commander Phillips' exact words. 6 hours 52 minutes and 8 seconds. Fuel gauge definitely acting up. Showing 90%, but I topped off the main tank yesterday. Either the gauge is shot or, no, has to be the gauge. Maintenance crew would have noticed a leak that size. 6 hours 52 minutes and 44 seconds. Managed to boost the signal on 99 Bravo. It's a repeating message, all right. Can't quite, hold on. Evacuation order in effect for zones 7 through 15. Proceed to designated assembly points. Do not use personal vehicles. Repeat, evacuation order in effect. Evacuation order? Nobody told us about any evacuation order. Chain of command runs through this facility. We'd be the first to know, not the last. Unless the order came from higher up the chain. Regional command, maybe? Or Washington direct. 6 hours 53 minutes and 21 seconds. Trying to raise base command on secure channel. Nothing. Not even a busy signal, just dead air. That's not right. Base command has triple redundancy on their communications. They don't just go dark. 6 hours 53 minutes and 58 seconds. The clicking from the radiation detector sounds faster? No, that's just my imagination. Stress does things to your hearing. Makes you notice sounds that were always there. Standard background radiation in an underground facility. Perfectly normal. 6 hours 54 minutes and 35 seconds. Lost Charlie 8 relay. Down to Delta 2 and Echo 5 in the northern sector. Starting to see a pattern here. Relays are dropping in sequence, east to west. Like something's moving across the coverage area, knocking them out one by one. Equipment cascade failure? Solar flare interference? We had a briefing about that last month. Electromagnetic pulses can knock out unshielded electronics across hundreds of miles. But the military hardened all our relay stations after the '07 incident. They should be able to handle anything short of a direct. 6 hours, 55 minutes, and 12 seconds. Flash of light outside just lit up the security monitors. Brief, intense. Lightning, maybe? But the weather report showed clear skies through 1400 hours. No storm systems within 200 miles of our position. 6 hours, 55 minutes, and 44 seconds. All external phone lines dead. Landlines, cellular relay, satellite uplink. Everything. That's not equipment failure. That's systematic infrastructure collapse. Standard Operating Procedure 7 Alpha says to maintain broadcast operations during extended communication disruption events until ordered otherwise by superior authority. But what if superior authority is gone? What if there's nobody left to give orders? 6 hours, 56 minutes, and 23 seconds. Fuel gauge now reading 73%. Definitely not a gauge malfunction. Something's drawing power faster than normal load calculations. The backup generators must have kicked in automatically when main grid power failed, but I didn't hear them start up. Should have been obvious. Those diesel engines make enough noise to wake the dead. Wait, when exactly did we lose main power? I've been so focused on the communication failures that I missed the power transition entirely. 6 hours, 57 minutes, and 1 second, checking the main panel. Grid power indicator is dark. Has been dark for, I don't know how long. The backup generators are running smooth, but they're working harder than they should be. Full building load plus broadcast equipment. At this rate, we've got maybe 6 hours of fuel, not 48. 6 hours, 57 minutes, and 39 seconds. Delta 2 relay just dropped. Echo 5 still responding, but the signal's getting weaker. Like it's running on battery backup or something. The radiation detector's clicking faster now. Definitely faster. But the digital readout still shows normal background levels. Old analog detector versus new digital display. Which one do I trust? 6 hours, 58 minutes, and 16 seconds. Maintenance crew should be here by now. First shift starts at 0700 sharp, but nobody's reported in. Radio check-ins from the vehicle pool, security sweep confirmation, morning briefing attendance, all standard protocol. Maybe they got caught up in whatever evacuation order is running on the emergency channels. Or maybe the access roads are blocked. Hard to say without external communication. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't heard from night shift either. They should have logged out around 0630, but there's no departure entry in the security log. 6 hours, 58 minutes, and 53 seconds, Echo 5 gone. Last relay in the network just went dark. I'm alone now. Completely alone in a facility designed for 24-hour staffing, with 6 hours of fuel and no way to contact the outside world. The emergency broadcast equipment is still running, still sending out the automated weather report and civil defense announcements. But who's listening? 6 hours, 59 minutes, and 27 seconds, that flash of light earlier. The timing matches exactly when Bravo 4 relay went down. Same with Charlie 8 dropping out right after that rumbling sound I dismissed as thunder. Pattern recognition, that's what they taught us in technical college. Look for patterns in the failure modes, trace the cascade back to root cause. All the relays failed in sequence, east to west. All external communications cut simultaneously. Regional power grid down. And that flash. The RAD-47 is chattering now, not just clicking. Rapid-fire detection events. But the digital display panel is still reading normal background levels. Either the analog detector is malfunctioning, or the digital system is programmed to ignore readings below a certain threshold. Programmed to keep personnel from panicking over minor fluctuations, or programmed to hide readings that would cause immediate evacuation protocols. 7 hours, hourly status check complete. All relay stations non-responsive. External communication severed. Backup power operational, but fuel reserves critical. Radiation levels, inconclusive. Protocol says I should evacuate. Follow whatever emergency procedures got everyone else out of here. But the automated emergency broadcast system is still running, still transmitting civil defense information to anyone with a working receiver. If I shut it down, if I abandon my post, who's going to maintain communications for the emergency response teams? Who's going to be the voice in the static when the survivors need information? 7 hours and 34 seconds, adjusting broadcast power to maximum strength. If anyone's out there with a working radio, they need to hear this. They need to know someone's still here, still broadcasting, still trying to coordinate whatever rescue operations might be underway. Fuel consumption just jumped another 20%. At this rate, I've got 4 hours, maybe 5 if I shut down non-essential systems. But what counts as non-essential when you're the last voice on the air? The radiation detector has gone silent. Completely silent. Not clicking, not chattering. Just dead. Like it reached some kind of maximum reading and gave up trying to count. I think I understand now what we never heard. End log entry 7 hours, 1 minute and 15 seconds. Emergency broadcast log, station Kilo 77. Date, redacted time, 7 hours, 15 minutes and 43 seconds hours. Operator, broadcast technician Rourke D. Fuel reserves at 68%, down 7% in 15 minutes. Rate of consumption increasing as I push more power through the broadcast array. Have to reach someone. Have to make contact. 7 hours, 16 minutes and 12 seconds. Systematic frequency sweep initiated. Starting with emergency services bands, working through military frequencies, then civilian channels. If there's anyone out there with working equipment, I'll find them. Pattern recognition, trace the signal paths, map the dead zones. Emergency frequency 155.340, dead air. Emergency frequency 154.265, dead air. Military frequency 225.000, static with something underneath. Boosting gain. 7 hours, 16 minutes and 47 seconds. Got something on 225.000. Automated message, partial transmission. Containment Protocol 7 is in effect. All personnel maintain minimum safe distance of 12 kilometers from blast perimeter. Radiation exposure protocols. Blast perimeter. There it is. Confirmation of what I already knew, but didn't want to think about. Nuclear detonation, close enough to take out our entire relay network, but far enough that we didn't get vaporized instantly. The automated message cuts off mid-sentence. Equipment failure or power loss at the transmitting station. Either way, it means another voice gone dark. 7 hours, 17 minutes and 23 seconds. Maintenance crew access tunnel shows security breach at 6:34 hours. Emergency exit protocols activated. They got out before whatever happened. Smart. Following evacuation procedures while I was obsessing over relay failures and fuel gauges. But why didn't they wake me? Standard procedure requires all personnel notification during facility evacuation. Unless there wasn't time. Unless they had seconds, not minutes. 7 hours, 17 minutes and 58 seconds. Civilian frequency 162.400, showing carrier tone. Weather service repeater, maybe? Boosting signal strength to maximum. Need to make contact. Need to confirm there's someone else out there maintaining operations. National Weather Service automated broadcast for Region 7, current conditions. Temperature data unavailable. Barometric pressure data unavailable. Wind speed data unavailable. Radiation advisory in effect for all zones. Radiation advisory. The Weather Service doesn't issue radiation advisories unless readings exceed federal emergency thresholds. But their automated system is still running, still broadcasting, which means their facility has backup power. If their equipment survived, maybe their personnel did too. 7 hours, 18 minutes and 34 seconds, fuel at 63%. Broadcasting at maximum power is eating through reserves faster than calculated. Need to establish contact protocols, coordinate with other operational facilities, share resources and information. Standard military communication protocol. Establish contact, authenticate identity, share status reports, coordinate response. But what if there's no response to coordinate? What if I'm broadcasting into a void? 7 hours, 19 minutes and 8 seconds. Trying military emergency frequency 243.000. Universal emergency channel, monitored by all services. If anyone's maintaining radio watch, they'll be listening here. Station Kilo 77 to any station, emergency priority traffic. Request immediate response for coordination of emergency broadcast operations. Current status, facility secure, broadcast capability operational, fuel reserves limited. Please respond. Waiting for acknowledgement. Standard protocol allows 30 seconds for response before repeat transmission. But in emergency conditions, response time can be extended due to equipment damage or personnel limitations. 60 seconds. Still nothing. 7 hours, 19 minutes and 52 seconds. Repeat transmission on 243.000. Same message, same request for coordination. Adding location identifier and fuel status for any rescue operations. 2 minutes. No response. The silence is starting to feel intentional. Not equipment failure, not atmospheric interference. Just absence. Like the entire communication network has been surgically removed from existence. 7 hours, 20 minutes, and 26 seconds. Civilian Emergency Services frequency 155.160, showing weak carrier signal. Police dispatch, maybe? Fire department? Emergency medical services? Someone maintaining operations in the affected area. Boosting receiver gain to maximum. Background noise increasing, but there's definitely something there. Automated system, sounds like police dispatch auto repeater. All units maintain perimeter at minimum safe distance. Decontamination teams en route to staging Area 7. Medical personnel report to mobile treatment facility at coordinates. Coordinates are garbled, interference, or equipment damage. But there are decontamination teams. Medical personnel. Organized response operations. Which means there's still command structure functioning somewhere. 7 hours, 21 minutes, and 3 seconds. Attempting to contact Emergency Response Coordination Center. Frequency 155.175, Regional Emergency Management. If anyone's coordinating the response, they'll be using this channel. Emergency Management. This is Station Kilo 77, broadcast facility operational and ready to relay emergency information. Request instruction for coordination of civil defense messaging. 30 seconds. Nothing. Emergency Management, Station Kilo 77. We have operational broadcast capability and can relay emergency instructions to civilian population. Please respond with coordination protocols. Still nothing. 7 hours, 21 minutes, and 41 seconds. Fuel at 59%. Rate of consumption stabilizing, but still burning through reserves faster than sustainable. At current rate, operational time remaining, approximately 3 hours, 47 minutes. Need to implement power conservation measures. But which systems are essential? Broadcast transmitter obviously. Receiver array for monitoring emergency channels. Facility life support. Digital logging systems for maintaining operational records. What about the emergency lighting? The security systems? The coffee maker that's been running since yesterday afternoon. 7 hours, 22 minutes, and 18 seconds. Frequency 462.675, showing intermittent activity. Civilian Emergency Services, probably volunteer fire department or search and rescue. Signal strength poor but audible. Team 7 reporting grid reference unclear. Radiation readings at checkpoint 3 show. Can't get closer than half a kilometer. Requesting additional decontamination equipment. Grid reference unclear. Radiation readings. Half kilometer safe distance. They're operating in the affected area, but they can't get close to whatever happened, which means the blast site is still highly contaminated. But they're out there. Personnel with working radios, conducting operations, reporting status. I'm not completely alone. 7 hours, 22 minutes, and 55 seconds. Attempting direct contact with search and rescue team. Their signal is weak, but maybe they can receive stronger signals than they can transmit. Search and Rescue Team 7. This is Broadcast Facility Kilo 77. We have operational emergency broadcast capability and can relay information to affected populations. Please respond if you can receive this transmission. Waiting. Their signal continues, but no acknowledgement of my transmission. Either they can't hear me, or they're too busy with immediate operations to monitor for new contacts. 7 hours, 23 minutes, and 32 seconds. Background radiation detector still silent. Completely dead. No clicks, no digital readout, nothing. Either it's malfunctioned completely, or it's detecting levels so high that it's shut down automatically to prevent equipment damage. There's a manual radiation detection kit in the emergency supply cabinet. Old-fashioned film badges and chemical dosimeters. No electronics to fail, no digital thresholds to hide readings. Just direct measurement of actual radiation exposure. But do I want to know? If the readings are high enough to kill the electronic detector, do I want confirmation that I'm already dead, just walking around waiting for the symptoms to start? 7 hours, 24 minutes, and 9 seconds. Fuel at 56%. 3.5 hours of operation, remaining at current consumption rate. Need to make difficult decisions about power allocation. Reducing broadcast power to 75%. Still strong enough to reach anyone with decent receiving equipment, but lower power consumption. Should extend operational time by approximately 40 minutes. The trade-off: reduced range means fewer potential contacts, but longer operational time means more opportunities to establish contact with emergency personnel. 7 hours, 24 minutes and 46 seconds. Civilian frequency 146.940, showing voice activity. Amateur radio operators, probably. Ham radio enthusiasts are always the last to go dark during emergencies. They have backup equipment, backup power, backup everything. Anyone copy this transmission, operating on emergency power from mobile unit. Lost contact with emergency coordinator at 0700 hours, requesting status reports from any operational stations. Amateur radio. Independent operators with no official coordination requirements. They're maintaining communications because that's what they do, not because anyone ordered them to. Amateur station. This is Emergency Broadcast Facility Kilo 77. We copy your transmission and are operational on backup power. Request status report on regional conditions. 7 hours, 25 minutes and 23 seconds. Response. First two-way contact since the incident began. Kilo 77. This is November 7 Zulu Whiskey, Mobile Emergency Communications. Good to hear another voice out here. Regional status is not good. Lost contact with most repeaters around 0645 this morning. Something big happened east of our position. Amateur radio emergency net is trying to coordinate, but we're operating mostly blind. Finally, contact with operational personnel. Someone else who survived, someone else who's maintaining communications. But their information confirms what I already suspected. Widespread communication failure, centered east of current position. November 7 Zulu Whiskey, Kilo 77. Can you confirm nature of incident that caused communication failures? We lost all relay stations in sequence, east to west pattern. 7 hours, 25 minutes and 58 seconds. Kilo 77, November 7 Zulu Whiskey. Negative on incident confirmation. Lots of rumors on the amateur nets, but nothing official. Saw aircraft activity early this morning, military transport heading west at high speed. Haven't seen any commercial traffic since dawn. Military transport heading west. Away from the incident site. Evacuation flights, probably. Getting personnel and equipment out of the affected area before what? Before radiation levels became unsurvivable? Before secondary explosions? Before total infrastructure collapse? November 7 Zulu Whiskey. What's your current location and operational capability? We have emergency broadcast transmitter and can relay official information if you have contact with emergency management. 7 hours, 26 minutes and 34 seconds. Kilo 77, we're approximately 40 kilometers northwest of the primary affected area. Running on vehicle power with maybe 6 hours of operation remaining. We've been monitoring emergency management frequencies, but haven't heard anything official since the initial evacuation announcements. 40 kilometers northwest. If they're that far out and still concerned about power reserves, the affected area must be larger than I thought. Much larger. November 7 Zulu Whiskey. Have you attempted to establish contact with facilities inside the affected area? Any response from emergency services or military installations? 7 hours, 27 minutes and 11 seconds. Long pause before response. Static interference increasing, signal strength degrading. Kilo 77, negative contact from inside the zone. We've tried reaching several facilities that should be operational. Nothing. Not even automated systems. It's like everything just stopped transmitting at the same time. Everything stopped at the same time. Simultaneous failure across multiple facilities, multiple services, multiple systems. That's not equipment malfunction. That's coordinated destruction. Electromagnetic pulse from nuclear detonation would explain simultaneous electronic failures across a wide area. But our facility was hardened against EMP effects. Military specification shielding, isolated power systems, protected communication equipment. Unless the pulse was stronger than design specifications. Unless whatever happened was bigger than anyone planned for. 7 hours, 27 minutes and 48 seconds. November 7 Zulu Whiskey. This is Kilo 77. We're operating on backup power with approximately 3 hours remaining. Request you monitor this frequency for coordination of emergency broadcasts. We may be the last official voice in the affected region. Copy Kilo 77. We'll maintain watch on this frequency. But You said 3 hours of power remaining? What's your plan when the fuel runs out? What's my plan? Follow evacuation procedures 40 minutes too late. Walk out into whatever radiation field killed the background detector. Sit here in the dark and wait for rescue teams that may never come. 7 hours, 28 minutes, and 25 seconds. November 7 Zulu Whiskey, Kilo 77. Plan is to maintain broadcast operations as long as possible. Emergency broadcast system has automated backup procedures. Even without operator presence, it should continue transmitting civil defense information for however long the fuel lasts. Understood, Kilo 77. We'll keep monitoring. Good luck. Good luck. Like luck has anything to do with surviving whatever this is. 7 hours, 28 minutes, and 59 seconds. Fuel at 53%. Contact with amateur radio operator confirmed that the incident is larger than initially assessed. Affected area encompasses multiple counties, possibly multiple states. Total communication blackout inside what they're calling the zone. And I'm inside the zone, broadcasting from inside the area where everything just stopped transmitting. Except I haven't stopped. Not yet. 7 hours, 29 minutes, and 36 seconds. Decision point. Continue attempting to establish contact with other facilities, or focus on maintaining automated emergency broadcasts for any survivors who might have working receivers. Contact attempts require higher power output for transmission. Automated broadcasts can run at lower power, extending operational time. But without coordination with other facilities, I'm just broadcasting into a void. Unless there are survivors out there, families with battery-powered radios, hiding in basements or fallout shelters. Emergency responders with mobile equipment, trying to coordinate rescue operations. Military personnel conducting damage assessment. Someone must be listening. 7 hours, 30 minutes, and 13 seconds. Implementing Emergency Broadcast Protocol 7 Alpha. Continuous automated transmission of emergency information, civil defense instructions, and facility status updates. Reducing broadcast power to 60% of maximum. Estimated operational time, 4 hours, 20 minutes. The automated system will continue broadcasting even after I'm gone. Even after the fuel runs out and the backup batteries take over for the final hour of transmission. A voice in the static, telling survivors where to find shelter, how to treat radiation exposure, what to do if rescue doesn't come. It's not much, but it's something. 7 hours, 30 minutes, and 47 seconds. Final fuel calculation. At current consumption rate, broadcast operations will cease at approximately 11:50 hours. Battery backup will maintain low-power transmission until approximately 12:50 hours. 13 hours and 3 minutes since I started this shift. 13 hours since the world ended, and I didn't even notice until it was too late to run. But I'm still here, still broadcasting, still the voice in the static for anyone who needs to hear that someone survived, someone's still trying to help. End log entry 7 hours, 31 minutes, and 24 seconds. Emergency broadcast log, station Kilo 77. Date, redacted time, 9 hours, 47 minutes, and 16 seconds hours. Operator, broadcast technician Rourke D. Fuel reserves at 31%. 2 hours, 14 minutes of operation remaining. But something's wrong with my calculations. The fuel consumption rate keeps fluctuating, and I keep finding transmissions that shouldn't exist. 9 hours, 47 minutes, and 43 seconds. Amateur radio contact November 7 Zulu Whiskey went silent 47 minutes ago. Mid-sentence. We were coordinating emergency frequency monitoring when his signal just stopped. No goodbye, no equipment failure warning. Just dead air. Tried reaching him on backup frequencies. Nothing. Either his mobile unit lost power, or whatever got the facilities inside the zone finally reached him too. That puts the edge of total communication failure at least 40 kilometers out. And moving. 9 hours, 48 minutes, and 21 seconds. Found something that makes no sense. Emergency services frequency 155.340. The same one that was dead air 6 hours ago. Now showing strong carrier signal with automated dispatch traffic. Unit 77 responding to structure fire at Maple and 3rd. Unit 1212, medical emergency at 1247 Oak Street. All units, be advised, hazardous materials team en route to industrial district. Normal dispatch traffic. Routine emergency calls. Like nothing happened, but I monitored this frequency continuously since 7:15 hours, It was completely dead. No carrier, no signal, nothing. Equipment can't just spontaneously repair itself, especially not after EMP damage. 9 hours, 48 minutes, and 58 seconds, boosting receiver gain to maximum. The dispatch traffic is crystal clear, no interference, no static. Professional quality transmission from what sounds like a fully operational emergency services center. But listen closer to the content. Unit 77, be advised structure fire is showing signs of unusual combustion. Unit 1212, medical emergency patient presents with unknown symptoms. Hazmat team, industrial district showing elevated readings on unknown substance. Unusual combustion. Unknown symptoms. Elevated readings on unknown substance. They're responding to the effects of whatever happened, but they're talking about it like they don't know what it is. 9 hours, 49 minutes, and 35 seconds. Attempting direct contact with emergency dispatch on 155.340. Emergency dispatch, this is broadcast facility Kilo 77. We have operational emergency communications and can relay information. Please respond for coordination. The dispatch traffic continues without interruption. No acknowledgement, no pause, no indication they received my transmission. Like I'm not there. Emergency dispatch, Kilo 77, emergency priority traffic. We are operational inside the affected area and require coordination with emergency management. Please respond immediately. Still nothing. The automated dispatch continues. All units maintain safe distance from affected areas. Decontamination teams report to staging area. Medical personnel implement exposure protocols. 9 hours, 50 minutes, and 12 seconds, wait. That's the same traffic. Exact same wording, same voice, same inflection. All units maintain safe distance from affected areas. Decontamination teams report to staging area. It's a loop. Pre-recorded emergency messages playing on repeat. But why would emergency dispatch broadcast recorded traffic instead of live coordination? Unless there's no one left to coordinate. 9 hours, 50 minutes, and 49 seconds. Checking other frequencies that showed activity earlier. Military frequency 225.000, still broadcasting the containment protocol message. But now I can hear the edges where it repeats. Containment Protocol 7 is in effect. All personnel maintain minimum safe distance of 12 kilometers from blast perimeter. Radiation exposure protocols require immediate evacuation of. Containment Protocol 7 is in effect. It's all automated. All of it. Emergency services, military communications, weather broadcasts. Everything I thought was proof of organized response operations. Just computers playing recorded messages until their power runs out. I've been trying to coordinate with ghosts. 9 hours, 51 minutes, and 26 seconds. Fuel at 29%. Consumption rate spiking again. Something's wrong with the power distribution system. The main generator should be running at steady load, but the fuel flow meter shows irregular consumption patterns. Need to check the generator room, but that means leaving the broadcast station unmanned. Standard protocol prohibits operator absence during emergency operations unless facility evacuation is required. But if the generator fails, there won't be any operations to maintain. 9 hours, 51 minutes, and 58 seconds. Maintenance access tunnel security panel shows green status. No intrusion alerts, no unauthorized access. But this morning it showed security breach at 6:34 hours when the maintenance crew evacuated. The security system reset itself. Or someone reset it. Generator room access requires maintenance authorization codes. But I'm the only one left in the facility. Who else would have access? 9 hours, 52 minutes, and 34 seconds. Decision. Investigate generator room irregularities. Setting broadcast system to automated emergency mode. If something happens to me, the system will continue transmitting for however long the fuel lasts. Grabbing portable radio for communication monitoring. And the manual radiation detection kit from the emergency cabinet. Time to find out what the electronic detector was too damaged to tell me. 9 hours, 53 minutes, and 11 seconds. Access tunnel to generator room. Emergency lighting functional. No obvious damage to facility infrastructure. But there's a smell, ozone and hot metal. Like electrical equipment running beyond specifications. The tunnel feels longer than usual. How long since I've been down here? 6 months? 8? The facility seemed smaller when I was just running system checks and routine maintenance. Footsteps echoing wrong in the corridor. Sound is reflecting off surfaces that shouldn't be there. But the emergency lighting shows normal tunnel configuration, no obstructions. 9 hours 53 minutes and 47 seconds. Generator room security door standing open. Manual lock disengaged from inside. But the maintenance crew evacuated through the surface access 6 hours ago. No one should have accessed the generator room since then. Unless someone came back, or never left. Emergency lighting inside the generator room shows normal operations. Main generator running at rated capacity, fuel pumps operational, power distribution panels showing normal loads. But the fuel consumption meter on the main console shows the irregular pattern I've been tracking from the broadcast station. High consumption, then normal, then high again. Like someone's been connecting additional loads to the system. 9 hours 54 minutes and 23 seconds. Checking power distribution panel. All standard circuits show normal load. Broadcast transmitter, facility lighting, life support systems, emergency communications. But there's an additional circuit that wasn't active this morning. Panel label reads, Auxiliary broadcast, emergency activation only. Auxiliary broadcast? This facility only has one transmission system. There's no auxiliary equipment installed. But the circuit breaker shows closed position, indicating active power load. Something is drawing power from the auxiliary broadcast circuit. Something that wasn't running when I started my shift. 9 hours 54 minutes and 59 seconds, following auxiliary power conduit from distribution panel. Leads deeper into the facility, towards sections I've never accessed. Storage areas maybe, or additional equipment rooms that weren't included in my station orientation. The conduit runs along the ceiling, clearly marked with standard electrical identification codes. But I don't remember seeing this conduit during facility tours. The infrastructure seems more extensive than I realized. Portable radio crackling with static. Signal interference increasing as I move deeper into the facility. But I'm still receiving the automated emergency broadcasts from the surface installations. Still hearing the ghosts. 9 hours 55 minutes and 36 seconds. Auxiliary conduit terminates at unmarked door marked. Authorized personnel only, security clearance required. Electronic lock showing red status, but the door is slightly ajar. Sound from inside. Electrical humming, cooling fans, equipment operation. Something is definitely running in there, drawing power from the auxiliary circuit. Manual radiation detector showing, oh God. The film badges are already darkening. Not from direct exposure, but from background radiation levels high enough to fog photographic film through the protective casing. I've been working in a radiation field for hours without knowing it. The electronic detector didn't malfunction. It shut down because readings exceeded safe measurement ranges. 9 hours 56 minutes and 12 seconds. Opening unmarked door. Inside, complete broadcast facility. Identical equipment to my station, but newer. Digital transmission systems, satellite uplink capability, automated programming equipment. And it's operational. Transmitting. Console monitors show active broadcast on multiple frequencies, including the emergency services channels I've been monitoring. The same automated dispatch traffic, the same military containment messages, the same weather service advisories. This facility is generating the ghost transmissions. 9 hours 56 minutes and 49 seconds, checking transmission logs on auxiliary broadcast system. Last operator entry, 6:41 hours this morning. 7 minutes after the maintenance crew evacuated. Operator identification. Redacted, security clearance insufficient. Someone was here. Someone stayed behind to activate the auxiliary broadcast system and feed automated emergency messages to the surrounding area, creating the illusion of organized response operations when the real emergency services had already been destroyed. But why? What's the point of broadcasting fake emergency traffic? 9 hours 57 minutes and 25 seconds, audio monitoring the auxiliary broadcast output. It's not just repeating recorded messages, it's generating new content. Synthetic speech, computer-generated emergency reports, artificial dispatch traffic. Unit 99, responding to multiple casualties at Evacuation Center Alpha. Medical teams, implement triage protocols for radiation exposure. All personnel, maintain operational security during decontamination procedures. It's creating a fictional emergency response, making survivors think there's still organized rescue operations, still government assistance, still hope for evacuation. while everyone who could actually provide help is already dead or evacuated beyond the communication range. 9 hours 57 minutes and 58 seconds. Fuel consumption irregularities explained. The auxiliary broadcast system has been running for over 3 hours, drawing power from the same fuel supply that feeds my equipment. The generator is supporting 2 complete broadcast facilities, not one. At current consumption rate, with both systems operational, 47 minutes of fuel remaining. But I can shut down the auxiliary system, disable the ghost transmissions, extend my operational time by maybe an hour, maybe 90 minutes. The question is, should I? 9 hours 58 minutes and 34 seconds. If I shut down the auxiliary broadcasts, any survivors monitoring emergency frequencies will lose the only official information they're receiving. Even if it's fake, it might be keeping them calm, preventing panic, giving them hope. But it's also preventing them from understanding the real situation. They think help is coming. They think there's still emergency services, still government response, still a chance for organized evacuation. They don't know they're on their own. 9 hours 59 minutes and 11 seconds. Checking auxiliary system operator logs. Final entry reads, implementing psychological operations protocol. Civilian population showing signs of panic following communication blackout. Automated emergency broadcasts will maintain illusion of government response capability until evacuation of essential personnel is complete. Estimated transmission time, 6 hours. After that, they're on their own anyway. Psychological operations. They were never trying to coordinate rescue efforts. They were buying time for essential personnel to evacuate while leaving everyone else behind with false hope. The government abandoned the affected area, but they didn't want the remaining population to know they'd been abandoned until the abandonment was complete. 9 hours 59 minutes and 47 seconds. Portable radio receiving transmission on amateur frequency. November 7 Zulu Whiskey, the mobile operator who went silent. Any station, this is November 7 Zulu Whiskey emergency traffic. Do not trust official emergency broadcasts. Repeat, do not trust official emergency broadcasts. Government response is pre-recorded psychological operations. Real evacuation ended hours ago. If you can hear this transmission, you are on your own. He figured it out too. Before his signal went dark, he discovered the same thing I just found. And he tried to warn people. That's why his transmission cut off mid-sentence. Someone stopped him. 10 hours and 23 seconds, sound in the corridor outside. Footsteps, but not echoing like mine did. Deliberate movement, trying to avoid noise. Someone else is in the facility. The maintenance crew didn't evacuate. Or they came back. Or someone else accessed the facility to monitor the psychological operations. Footsteps getting closer. No radio chatter, no identification calls. Whoever it is doesn't want to be detected. I need to get back to my station. Maintain broadcast operations. But the auxiliary system, do I shut it down and expose the lie, or leave it running and preserve the illusion? 10 hours and 59 seconds, decision. Disable auxiliary broadcast system. Cut power to the ghost transmissions. Let survivors know the truth about their situation. Auxiliary power circuit breaker, open. The humming stops. Cooling fans wind down. Digital displays go dark. The auxiliary broadcast facility goes silent. Fuel consumption should stabilize now. Maybe I can maintain operations for another hour, maybe 2. Long enough to broadcast the truth about the psychological operations. Long enough to warn survivors that they can't wait for rescue. 10 hours 1 minute and 36 seconds, footsteps stopped. Whoever was in the corridor heard the auxiliary system shut down. They know someone accessed the secured area. Need to get back to broadcast station. Need to warn survivors about the false emergency broadcasts before whoever's in the facility stops me like they stopped November 7 Zulu Whiskey. Portable radio silent now. All the automated emergency traffic has stopped. The ghost voices are gone. Just me and whoever else is in this facility. 10 hours 2 minutes and 12 seconds, moving back toward broadcast station. Emergency lighting seems dimmer, but that might be the radiation exposure affecting my vision. Manual detector badges completely black now. Whatever dose I've absorbed, it's well beyond safe limits. Corridor ahead blocked by maintenance equipment. Wheeled tool cart, electrical panels, cable spools. Equipment that wasn't there when I came down to investigate the generator room. Someone moved it there. Someone who doesn't want me getting back to my station. 10 hours 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Alternative route through secondary access tunnel. Longer path, but it bypasses the blocked corridor. Emergency lighting functional, no obvious obstructions. Portable radio crackling with new transmission, weak signal, partially garbled. Anyone receiving this broadcast, government response terminated at 6:30 hours. Evacuation complete for essential personnel only. Remaining population classified as acceptable losses. Do not wait for rescue. Repeat, do not wait for rescue. Someone else discovered the truth. Someone else is trying to warn survivors. But the signal is breaking up, interference increasing. The same interference that cut off November 7 Zulu Whiskey. 10 hours 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Secondary access tunnel blocked by fallen ceiling panels. Recent damage, dust still settling. Debris pattern suggests deliberate sabotage rather than structural failure. Someone is systematically blocking access to the broadcast station. Someone who wants to prevent me from transmitting. But there's still the emergency ventilation shaft. Narrow crawl space, but it connects directly to the broadcast room. Built for maintenance access, not regular use, but 10 hours 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Ventilation shaft access panel locked from inside. Manual override requires maintenance key. But the maintenance crew evacuated hours ago. Unless they didn't evacuate. Unless the security breach I logged this morning wasn't personnel leaving the facility. It was personnel moving to a different section. Personnel who've been monitoring operations, maintaining the psychological operations, eliminating anyone who discovers the truth. I'm not alone in this facility. I never was. 10 hours 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Voice from the corridor behind me. Not shouting, not threatening. Conversational tone, almost friendly. Technician Rourke, you need to return to your station. The emergency broadcasts serve an important purpose. Maintaining civilian morale during the evacuation process. I know that voice. Facility commander. The one who should have evacuated with the rest of the essential personnel. The one who's been running the psychological operations. The auxiliary system needs to remain operational. We're buying time for rescue operations to reach the outer perimeter. Every hour we maintain the illusion of government response saves lives. Lies. The evacuation ended hours ago. There are no rescue operations coming. 10 hours 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Technician Rourke, you've been exposed to significant radiation. Your judgment may be impaired. Return to your station and resume broadcast operations. That's an order. Radiation exposure can cause confusion, disorientation, impaired decision-making. But it doesn't cause hallucinations. It doesn't make me see equipment that isn't there or hear transmissions that aren't real. The auxiliary broadcast facility is real. The psychological operations are real. The abandoned population is real. I know you think you're helping the survivors by telling them the truth. But the truth is that panic kills more people than radiation. Let them maintain hope for a few more hours. Let them die peacefully instead of in terror. 10 hours 5 minutes and 47 seconds. He's right about one thing. I'm going to die from radiation exposure. The manual detectors show lethal dose absorption. I have hours, maybe less, before symptoms become debilitating. But I can use those hours. I can get back to my station. I can broadcast the truth about the psychological operations, the abandoned evacuation, the false emergency traffic. I can make sure survivors understand their real situation before I'm too sick to operate the equipment. Last chance, Technician Rourke. Return to your station and resume normal operations. Or I'll have to ensure broadcast security through other means. Other means, like whatever happened to November 7 Zulu Whiskey. 10 hours 6 minutes and 23 seconds. Emergency ventilation shaft it is. Manual override panel requires maintenance authorization, but there's an emergency release for personnel evacuation. Breaking emergency seal. Alarm klaxon activating throughout facility. So much for stealth. Crawling into ventilation shaft. Narrow space, barely wide enough for shoulders. Emergency lighting every 10 meters. Air circulation still functional. Behind me, rapid footsteps, shouted commands into portable radio. Target is attempting unauthorized access to broadcast equipment. Implement Security Protocol 7 Alpha. Security Protocol 7 Alpha. That's not in any manual I've read. 10 hours 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Ventilation shaft connects to broadcast room through ceiling access panel. Dropping down into my station, emergency lighting still functional. Broadcast equipment still operational. Fuel reserves at 26%. The auxiliary system shutdown helped, but not enough. Maybe 90 minutes of operation remaining. Time to tell the truth. 10 hours, 7 minutes, and 36 seconds. Setting emergency broadcast to maximum power. If this is my last transmission, it needs to reach every survivor with working receiving equipment. This is Station Kilo 77 emergency broadcast. Be advised, all official emergency traffic from government sources has been terminated. Repeat, government emergency broadcasts are pre-recorded psychological operations designed to prevent panic during evacuation of essential personnel. There are no emergency services responding in the affected area. There are no rescue operations en route. There is no coordinated government assistance. Official evacuation was completed at 6:30 hours this morning for authorized personnel only. If you are receiving this transmission, you have been classified as acceptable losses. Do not wait for rescue. Do not rely on official emergency broadcasts. Implement individual survival protocols immediately. 10 hours, 8 minutes, and 12 seconds. Door access panel shows security override in progress. Facility commander attempting to gain entry to broadcast room. Estimated time to breach, 4 minutes. Emergency lockdown protocol available. Seal broadcast room. Maintain operations until fuel exhaustion. But lockdown is irreversible. No way to evacuate before radiation exposure becomes fatal. Not that evacuation matters anymore. Radiation dose is already lethal. Question is whether I die broadcasting the truth or die as a prisoner. This is Station Kilo 77 continuing emergency broadcast. Government psychological operations included false emergency services traffic, fake military coordination messages, and automated weather advisories designed to maintain illusion of ongoing rescue efforts. Real situation, nuclear incident occurred at approximately 6:30 hours. Electromagnetic pulse disabled most communication equipment. Radiation levels in affected area exceed survivable limits. Government evacuation complete. Population abandonment authorized. 10 hours, 8 minutes, and 49 seconds. Security override at 60% completion. Heavy footsteps in corridor outside broadcast room. Multiple personnel, not just facility commander. How many people stayed behind to run the psychological operations? How many essential personnel are still in the facility maintaining the lie? All survivors monitoring this frequency, do not trust automated emergency broadcasts. Do not wait at designated evacuation points. Do not follow official instructions for shelter-in-place procedures. Government response capability terminated hours ago. Implement individual survival plans. Seek shelter from radiation exposure. Conserve food and water supplies. Avoid contaminated areas. Do not rely on outside assistance. 10 hours, 9 minutes, and 25 seconds. Security override at 90%. Final warning from facility commander through door intercom. Technician Rourke, you are interfering with authorized psychological operations. Civilian panic will result in casualties exceeding radiation exposure deaths. Cease unauthorized transmission immediately. Maybe he's right. Maybe the truth will cause more deaths than the lie. Maybe false hope is better than accurate despair. But the survivors deserve to know their real situation. They deserve the chance to make informed decisions about their own survival. This is Station Kilo 77 final emergency broadcast. To any survivors receiving this transmission, you are not alone. Others have survived the initial incident. Others are fighting to stay alive. Do not give up hope, but do not wait for rescue that will never come. Take responsibility for your own survival. Help others when possible. Maintain human dignity in the face of abandonment. 10 hours, 10 minutes, and 1 second. Security override complete. Door opening. Emergency lockdown activated. Blast-resistant barriers sealing broadcast room. Emergency air supply activated. Fuel reserves locked to broadcast operations only. I'm committed now. Broadcasting until the fuel runs out, until the radiation sickness becomes debilitating, until the equipment finally fails. The truth deserves that much. 10 hours, 10 minutes, and 38 seconds. Facility commander's voice through emergency intercom. Technician Rourke, you've sealed yourself into a contaminated room with lethal radiation levels. Emergency lockdown cannot be reversed without external override codes. You will die in there. I was already dying. At least this way, it means something. Your broadcast is causing panic throughout the survivor population. People are abandoning safe shelter positions. They're going to die because of your transmission. Maybe. Or maybe they're going to live because they finally understand their real situation. Final chance. provide lockdown override codes, and resume psychological operations. We can still maintain civilian morale for the remaining evacuation window. There is no remaining evacuation window. The essential personnel evacuated hours ago. Everyone left behind was expendable, including me. 10 hours 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Fuel reserves at 22%. Approximately 75 minutes of broadcast time remaining. Need to use it efficiently. This is Station Kilo 77 continuing truth broadcast. For survivors questioning official emergency information, trust your own observations. If you haven't seen government rescue teams, it's because there aren't any. If emergency services aren't responding to your calls, it's because they've been evacuated. The automated emergency broadcasts were designed to keep you calm while essential personnel completed their evacuation. Now that evacuation is complete, your survival is your own responsibility. External attempts to override broadcast transmission. Signal jamming, frequency interference, power fluctuation attacks. They're trying to shut me down remotely. But the facility broadcast equipment was hardened against electronic warfare, designed to maintain operations under hostile conditions. I can outlast their interference attempts. 10 hours 11 minutes and 51 seconds. This is Station Kilo 77. To survivors in the affected area, you are not forgotten. Your sacrifice was not voluntary, but it was not meaningless. You represent the human cost of nuclear preparedness failures. Document your experiences. Record your survival efforts. If any of you survive long enough for eventual rescue or recovery operations, make sure the world knows what happened here. Make sure they know you were abandoned deliberately. Radiation sickness symptoms beginning. Nausea, dizziness, fatigue. Manual radiation detectors completely black now. Whatever dose I've absorbed is well beyond any survivable limit. But I can still operate the equipment. I can still broadcast. I can still tell the truth for however long consciousness lasts. 10 hours, 12 minutes, and 28 seconds. This is Station Kilo 77 final status report. Fuel reserves approaching critical levels. Operator radiation exposure exceeding survivable limits. Broadcast operations will continue until equipment failure. To any survivors still monitoring, the silence after the explosion wasn't just from the blast. It was from the systematic abandonment of everyone who couldn't be evacuated in time. You heard the silence because there was no one left to break it. Except us, the expendable ones. Still here, still fighting, still refusing to die quietly. Fuel at 18%. Maybe 40 minutes remaining. Time enough to tell the truth. Time enough to break the silence. End log entry 10 hours, 13 minutes, and 5 seconds. Emergency broadcast log, Station Kilo 77. Date, redacted time, 10 hours, 13 minutes, and 6 seconds hours. Operator, broadcast technician Rourke, D. Final transmission sequence. Fuel reserves at 17%. Radiation sickness accelerating, vision blurring, coordination deteriorating. But the equipment still responds. The signal still reaches whoever's left to listen. Time to abandon protocol. Time to speak human. 10 hours, 13 minutes, and 42 seconds. This is David Rourke at Station Kilo 77. Not broadcast technician Rourke anymore. Just David. Because protocols don't matter when there's no one left to enforce them. I've been talking to you in timestamps and technical language because that's how I was trained. Emergency broadcasts maintain professional demeanor. Stick to facts. Avoid emotional content that might cause civilian panic. But you know what causes more panic than the truth? Discovering you've been lied to while people were dying. The facility commander's voice through the intercom, fainter now. Rourke, your transmission is being monitored by survivor groups across the affected area. Every word you broadcast increases casualties. Maybe. But silence killed more people than truth ever did. The facility commander's voice through the intercom, fainter now. Rourke, your transmission is being monitored by survivor groups across the affected area. Every word you broadcast increases casualties. Maybe. But silence killed more people than truth ever did. 10 hours, 14 minutes, and 18 seconds. If you're listening to this, you survived something the government decided you probably wouldn't. They calculated acceptable losses, and you were acceptable. Your families were acceptable. Your communities were acceptable. But you're still here. Still breathing contaminated air. Still fighting to stay alive in a place they wrote off hours ago. That makes you extraordinary, not expendable. Equipment console shows multiple system failures beginning. The lockdown sealed me into this room, but it also sealed me in with damaged electronics. Radiation is corrupting the circuit boards, degrading the transmission quality. Static creeping into the audio output. Won't be long before the signal becomes unintelligible. 10 hours, 14 minutes, and 55 seconds. I need to tell you about the silence. The title of this whole nightmare. We never heard the explosion, only the silence after. I understand it now. The explosion was never the worst part. Explosions are loud, violent, impossible to ignore. But explosions end. The silence after, that's what kills you. The absence of voices that should be there. The empty frequencies where help should be broadcasting. The silence where your government should be coordinating your rescue. Fuel at 15%. Vision getting worse. The radiation dose is attacking my nervous system now. Hands shaking, making it difficult to operate controls. But muscle memory still functions. 23 years of broadcast operations. Fingers know where every switch and dial is located. 10 hours, 15 minutes, and 32 seconds. The psychological operations weren't designed to save lives. They were designed to prevent you from understanding how completely you'd been abandoned. Keep you calm while the important people evacuated. Keep you waiting for rescue that was never coming. November 7 Zulu Whiskey, the amateur radio operator who tried to warn you earlier. They killed him for telling the truth. Shot his mobile unit, cut his transmission, silenced him mid-sentence because he figured out the same thing I did. Intercom crackles with facility commander's voice. Rourke, that's classified information. You're violating operational security. Operational security for an operation that abandoned its own people. Security to protect the lie, not the lied to. 10 hours, 16 minutes, and 9 seconds. They're still here. The people who ran the psychological operations. Still in this facility, still monitoring transmissions, still trying to maintain the illusion, even though the evacuation they coordinated hours ago left them behind too. I don't know why they stayed. Maybe they believe their own propaganda about buying time for rescue operations. Maybe they're terrified of facing the survivors they lied to. Maybe they just can't admit they participated in mass abandonment. But they're here, and they'll keep broadcasting lies until their equipment fails or someone stops them. System diagnostics showing cascade failures throughout broadcast equipment. Power fluctuations from radiation damage, cooling system failures, memory corruption in digital processors. The electronics are dying from the same radiation that's killing me. 10 hours, 16 minutes, and 46 seconds. I sealed myself in this room to make sure the truth reached you. Emergency lockdown, blast barriers, independent life support. I'm going to die from radiation exposure, but I'm going to die broadcasting. Because someone needs to break the silence. Someone needs to speak for the people who were written off as acceptable losses. Someone needs to make noise in the empty frequencies. Nausea intensifying. Coordination problems making it hard to focus on controls. But I can still speak, still key the transmitter, still send signals into the contaminated wasteland outside. Still refuse to go quietly. 10 hours, 17 minutes, and 23 seconds. If any of you survive this, if rescue eventually comes, if the radiation levels drop, if the outside world finally acknowledges what happened here, remember that survival isn't about following orders or waiting for permission. Survival is about refusing to accept unacceptable situations. It's about making your own decisions when the people in charge abandon their responsibilities. It's about breaking silence when silence serves power instead of people. Fuel at 13%. Maybe 25 minutes of operation remaining. Equipment failures accelerating, audio clarity degrading, transmission power fluctuating. The message is getting through, but not for much longer. 10 hours and 18 minutes. I keep thinking about my job description. Maintain emergency communications during crisis situations. Coordinate information between rescue agencies and affected populations. Provide accurate status updates to support evacuation operations. Accurate status updates. That's what this is, the most accurate status update I've ever broadcast. The evacuation operations ended. The rescue agencies evacuated themselves. The affected population was reclassified as acceptable losses. Status update complete. Static increasing on all frequencies. The electromagnetic interference from the incident is finally overwhelming even the hardened broadcast equipment. Or maybe the radiation damage has reached critical systems. Either way, transmission time is running out. 10 hours, 18 minutes, and 37 seconds. David Rourke, Station Kilo 77, final personal message. To my sister Catherine in Denver, if this reaches you somehow, I stayed at my post. Maintained broadcast operations until equipment failure. Died doing my job, just not the job they wanted me to do. To the survivors still listening, you don't owe anything to the people who abandoned you. You don't owe loyalty to institutions that wrote you off. You don't owe silence to authorities who lied to you while you were dying. You owe yourselves the truth. You owe each other whatever help you can provide. You owe the world your survival, if only to prove that acceptable losses were never acceptable. Facility Commander's final transmission through intercom. Rourke, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. The psychological operations were supposed to prevent mass casualties from panic responses. We calculated that maintaining false hope would save more lives than revealing the hopelessness of the situation. Too little, too late. But maybe genuine regret. 10 hours, 19 minutes, and 14 seconds. Commander, if you're still monitoring, evacuation authorization for essential personnel only was the first lie. Psychological operations to maintain civilian morale was the second lie. The third lie was telling yourself that abandoning people was somehow saving them. The truth is simpler. When crisis comes, you protect everyone you can, or you protect no one worth protecting. There's no acceptable middle ground between rescue and abandonment. Fuel at 11%. Vision severely impaired now. Radiation damage affecting optical nerves, motor control systems. But hearing still functions. The transmission is still going out, still reaching whoever remains to listen. The silence after the explosion wasn't natural. It was engineered. 10 hours, 19 minutes, and 51 seconds. This is Station Kilo 77 emergency broadcast. Final technical information for any survivors with communications equipment. Government emergency frequencies are compromised. Do not trust automated traffic on 155.340 or military coordination on 225.000. Amateur radio frequencies remain most reliable for actual survivor coordination. Monitor 14.265 MHz and 7.265 MHz for genuine emergency traffic. Trust human voices, not computer-generated content. If you have transmission capability, break the silence. Make noise. Let other survivors know they're not alone. Equipment console showing critical system failures. Main transmitter power dropping. Audio processing corrupted. Frequency stability degrading. The broadcast equipment is entering final failure mode, but the emergency battery backup still has power. Manual transmitter controls still respond. I can maintain basic transmission for maybe 10 more minutes. 10 hours, 20 minutes, and 28 seconds. The silence after the explosion was never about the explosion. It was about the systematic removal of human voices from the communication networks. Official channels broadcasting lies, amateur frequencies suppressed, emergency services evacuated, coordination centers abandoned. They created the silence deliberately. Made you think you were alone when you were surrounded by other survivors. Made you think rescue was coming when rescue had already left. The silence was a weapon, used against people who needed to hear human voices, needed to know they weren't forgotten, needed to believe their lives had value. Radiation symptoms critical now. Consciousness fading in and out, motor control nearly gone. But somehow the voice still works. The transmitter still responds to the push-to-talk switch. Maybe dying people get one last surge of clarity. Maybe the body saves its final energy for final words. 10 hours, 21 minutes, and 5 seconds. I'm going to stop talking in a few minutes. Not by choice. The radiation is shutting down my nervous system, and the equipment is failing from electromagnetic damage. But my silence won't be like the silence after the explosion. My silence will mean the message was completed. The truth was broadcast. The lies were exposed. Someone spoke for the people who were written off as acceptable losses. When my transmission stops, it won't mean no one cares. It will mean someone cared enough to die telling the truth. Fuel at 9%. Emergency backup power engaging. Basic transmitter operation only. No amplification, no signal processing, no audio enhancement. Just raw voice transmission on emergency frequency. Good enough. The message doesn't need enhancement. Truth works better without amplification anyway. 10 hours, 21 minutes, and 42 seconds. Final message to any survivors still monitoring Station Kilo 77. You survived something that was supposed to kill you. You're alive in a place where life was deemed unacceptable. You're human in a situation where humans were considered expendable. That makes you living proof that the calculations were wrong, that the abandonment was premature, that the acceptable losses were never acceptable. Stay alive. Help each other. Break the silence whenever you can. Make sure the world knows what happened here. Make sure they know you refused to die quietly. Vision completely gone now. Operating entirely by touch, by muscle memory, by 23 years of broadcast experience. The equipment responds to familiar hands, even when those hands can barely feel the controls. The radiation has won, but the transmission continues. 10 hours, 22 minutes and 19 seconds. David Rourke, Station Kilo 77, final broadcast entry. Equipment failing, operator failing, fuel nearly exhausted. But the message is complete. We never heard the explosion, only the silence after. But we broke that silence. We made noise in the empty frequencies. We spoke for the expendable people, the acceptable losses, the ones who were supposed to die quietly. We refused the silence. We chose to make sound until the very end. Emergency power at critical levels. Transmitter barely maintaining carrier signal. Audio quality severely degraded, but still audible. Still human. Still refusing to go quietly into the engineered silence. The fuel gauge reads 6%. Maybe 3 minutes of operation remaining. Time enough for one final truth. 10 hours, 22 minutes and 56 seconds. This is David Rourke, no call sign, no protocol, no emergency broadcast designation. Just a human being who stayed at his post when staying meant dying, who told the truth when truth meant abandoning orders, who broke silence when silence served abandonment. If anyone receives this final transmission, if any of you survive long enough to tell this story, remember that the silence after the explosion wasn't natural. It was imposed by people who decided your voices didn't matter, your lives didn't count, your survival wasn't worth the effort. They were wrong. Your voices matter. Your lives count. Your survival is worth everything. Fuel at 4%. Consciousness fading rapidly. But the transmitter still functions, still sends the signal out into the contaminated wasteland where people are fighting to stay alive despite being written off as acceptable losses. The silence is breaking. Human voices in the empty frequencies. Truth in the abandoned channels. 10 hours, 23 minutes and 33 seconds. Station Kilo 77, final transmission. David Rourke, broadcast technician, human being, survivor of government abandonment, casualty of acceptable losses. We broke the silence. We made noise. We refused to die quietly. The explosion was never the worst part. The silence after was the weapon. But weapons can be defeated by people who refuse to be silenced. Break the silence. Make noise. Stay human. Fuel at 2%. Emergency power failing. Main transmitter shutting down. Audio processing offline. Basic carrier signal only. But still transmitting. Still making noise in the engineered silence. Still proving that acceptable losses are never acceptable. The equipment dies first. Then the operator. But the message survives in whoever received it. Whoever heard the truth broadcast from a dying facility by a dying man who refused to let lies be the last word. 10 hours, 24 minutes and 10 seconds static. Carrier signal fading. Transmission quality degraded beyond comprehension. But still sound. Still noise. Still refusal to accept the silence after the explosion. The frequencies go quiet. The broadcast ends. Station Kilo 77 falls silent. But the silence isn't like the silence after the explosion. This silence means the message was completed, the truth was told, the lies were exposed. This silence means someone cared enough to die breaking the engineered quiet. The real silence, the imposed silence, the weaponized silence, the silence that served abandonment instead of people. That silence is broken forever. End final transmission log. Station Kilo 77. Operator, David Rourke. Mission completed.